Okay, guys, is the PS4 really faster than the Xbox One? Now, before I give you my answer, I just want to give you my view on both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Now, first thing is, I both consoles are great. I would not put the PS4 over the Xbox One or the Xbox One over the PS4. Both consoles are great. But regarding the PS4 is a great system. Um, um, a few exclusives on there that come to mind would be Uncharted 4, God of War 2018, Spider-Man 2018, Miles Morales. Spider-Man 2 should be on the PS4, but it's not on the PS4. But what else? I'm trying to think. Stood out to me on the PlayStation 4. Um, Bloodborne is talked about a lot on the PlayStation 4, and trying to think if there's one more game that really stood out to me on the PlayStation 4. Okay, can't think of it right now, but the PlayStation 4 had a few exclusives on there that was really good, but can't really think of anything. Now, when it comes to the Xbox One, I remember the first Titanfall, Rise Son of Rome, Quantum Break, um, Gears of War 4, Gears of War 5, Halo 5. Um, those are the exclusives that I could remember right now, off the top of my head, that stood out to me. But yeah, so that was pretty much it as far as the exclusives. Both consoles, as far as features, they were good. I didn't think Xbox One had any features that really stood out versus the PlayStation 4, and vice versa. Both consoles had their few exclusives, and but what I would say about the PS4 is, and this has always been the thing for PlayStation, even with the PS5, Japanese games. You know, there were more Japanese games hitting the PS4 than the Xbox One, but a lot of those Japanese games eventually landed on the Xbox One. But again, guys, both consoles are great. Wouldn't put one above the other. All right, now let's talk about the speed. Again, guys, I use memory bandwidth to determine the speed of gaming consoles. Um, yeah, so, okay. So, guys, the Xbox One is capable of 68 gigabytes per second, and the PlayStation 4 is capable of 176 gigabytes per second, making the PlayStation 4 2.5 times faster than the Xbox One. Now, I remember when this whole thing came up, you know, when Xbox was having trouble putting games, well, Xbox wasn't even releasing games at 1080p. They were releasing games at 720p and 900p, while the PlayStation 4 was putting out games at 1080p. And I was wondering what's going on. Preferring Xbox, I was like, what's going on? Why is the Xbox One not putting games out at 1080p? Now, to be fair with you, I wasn't looking for 1080p when the Xbox One was announced and looking forward to the Xbox One. I wasn't looking for 1080p. I was actually looking for 720p. So when this whole thing came up, I was like, huh, what is this all about? So, and PlayStation fanboys use this as ammo against Xbox. Oh, look, where our games are in 1080p, your games are in 900p and 720p. The media also use this. But the funny thing is, a lot of early PlayStation 4 games were in 720p. And even though the PlayStation 4 was able to do 1080p. Both consoles, both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 were basically running games at 30 frames per second. Like very few games actually hit 60 frames on the Xbox One and the PS4. So because of the CPUs in both consoles were using the same CPU anyway. But the point is that yeah, so when I saw this, I was like, what is this all about? So, and I remember articles was coming out saying, oh, the Xbox can do 1080p and this and that. Now, there were some games on the Xbox that use 1080p, but what I found out was that the Xbox One had 68 gigabytes per second, and it also had 32 megabyte of embedded static RAM, which was used for cache. So now maybe if developers took advantage of this additional 32 megabyte of ES RAM, maybe Microsoft, I think it was some developer of the Xbox One coming out, there was an article on the internet and he was basically saying that if developers took advantage of this additional 32 megabyte of ES RAM, which is what they call embedded static RAM, they would be able to achieve 1080p. So I don't know how true that is now. At the time, I did believe it, but now I'm like, I don't think that was the case. But even if it was true, guys, developers don't want to go through a lot of extra work. They want to build their games in the simplest, easiest way possible. So so even if that was the case, if developers took advantage of that additional 32 megabyte of ES RAM in the Xbox One to achieve 1080p, guys, developers was like, hey, look, we just gonna use the 68 gigabytes, which was both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 uses 8 gigabyte of RAM, but the Xbox uses DDR3 RAM, while the PlayStation 4 uses DDR5 RAM, which is much faster, and PlayStation 4 uses more RAM, at 176 to 68. So again, PlayStation 4 was able to run games at it's basically two and a half times faster than the Xbox One. So again, developers was just using that. The way I see it, developers was using that 68 gigabytes, and that resulted in 720p games for Xbox. You know, I guess the developers that took advantage of that extra 32 megabyte of ES RAM, 900p. So that's it, guys. PlayStation 4 is 2.5 times faster than the Xbox One. Now, because the PS4 is so fast, guys, it's gonna be getting support for a long time. The Xbox Series S is 224 gigabytes. So the Xbox Series S and the PlayStation 4 is not, the Xbox Series S is not that far from the PlayStation 4. So that's why you're seeing developers still putting games on the PlayStation 4, because it's that fast. The recently released Metaphor Refantasio, that game is not on Xbox One. Could be, but I'm guessing because it's easier to port that game to the PlayStation 4, the devs just didn't even bother with the Xbox One version. But the game is available for the Series S and X. So that's it, guys. If you were ever wondering, is the PS4 really faster? It is 2.5 times faster. And because the PlayStation 4 is so fast, developers are going to be supporting it for at least, like, guys, probably in where we are now, 2024, probably even in 2027, you're going to still see games being released for the PlayStation 4. So The only thing, again, I wish Sony would put more games that's only on the PS5 or on the PS4, because a lot of these games were in development for the PS4, and you can check out my video on that talking about um, 8 games that are on the PS5 that should be on the PS4. Check that video out. If you go ahead and check that video out if you haven't already seen it. So that's the video for you today, guys. If you like the video, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, as I will be bringing you guys more content about video games. So take care. Peace.